Picture this. You're sitting at the dinner table. The lights are dim. Maybe a little flicker from that one bulb you've been meaning to change. Across from you is Cecilia, your sister, cousin, best friend, whatever fits your vibe. She's off. Like, really off. She's been like this ever since she got back from Thailand. This remote countryside trip she took to find herself, the usual post-grad thing, right? But now, it's like she's brought something back. Something she refuses to talk about. And it's not just in her eyes. It's in her movements, her appetite, the way the pets, your pets, are starting to vanish. Weird, right? Let's rewind a bit, because to understand what's happening to Cecilia, we need to go back to where it all began. Welcome, wanderer, to the fog's embrace. I am the hermit, your guide through tales long buried and whispers never meant to reach the living. Follow the light of my lantern, but tread carefully. Some stories have a way of following you home. Now, let's step into the story, shall we? Cecilia, 20, half Thai, half American, just graduated college, and like most people in that stage of life, she felt stuck. You know the feeling, uncertainty about what's next. Life weighing you down, so she decided, why not take a gap year? Thailand seemed perfect. It's her mom's homeland, full of culture, family, and let's not lie, the food's amazing. At first, it was idyllic. Bangkok was chaotic but beautiful, and her relatives were warm, welcoming. But after a few weeks, one of them suggested a trip to the countryside. And not just any countryside. This was the deep, untouched heart of Thailand. The kind of place where time feels frozen, where traditions are lived, not just remembered. But the villagers? They were different, kind, sure, but distant, and they wouldn't tell her much about their local folklore, just that it was better left alone. One night, there was this incident. Cecilia didn't talk about it much, even when she got back, but the little she did say was bone-chilling. She was staying with a local family in a stilted wooden house. Around midnight, she woke up to the sound of soft, raspy whispers. They weren't in English or Thai. She swore it was something older, something primal. She peeked through the wooden slats in her window and saw a shadow, a figure standing outside. But here's the freaky part. It wasn't walking. It was hovering, moving unnaturally toward the house, and in his hand, something glistening red, wet like raw meat. The family she was staying with burst into the room, shouting something she didn't understand. They dragged her to the main part of the house, threw rice grain everywhere, and lit a fire. She thought they were being dramatic, superstitious, even, but then the figure stopped right outside the rice grain line and vanished. Fast forward to now, Cecilia's back home in Kansas, and at first, it was like nothing happened. She was jet-lagged but normal. Then, slowly, things got weird. She started eating, a lot. Midnight snacks became 3 a.m. binges, the kind where you hear the fridge open and shut every 5 minutes. Her family joked about her hollow leg until the food bills skyrocketed. And then, the pets started disappearing. First, it was the cat. Everyone thought it ran away, but something about the timing felt off. Then the dog started acting skittish, barking at nothing, and one night, he was gone too. And Cecilia? She never even asked where they went. She just stared at the empty food bowl like it was nothing. Okay, so let's pause here, because to understand what's happening to Cecilia, you need to know about a specific type of spirit, a peepob. Unlike other Thai spirits, peepob isn't your typical ghost. It doesn't have a body. A peepob is more like an idea, a presence. It's a spirit of greed, malevolence, and hunger. And it doesn't just haunt, it possesses. Once it takes over someone's body, it turns them into a vessel of destruction. They start to crave raw meat, organs even. And here's the creepiest part. If it fully consumes its host, that person doesn't just die. They waste away like they were never sick. No wounds, no signs of struggle, just gone. The family finally reached their breaking point after finding Cecilia crouched in the kitchen, gnawing on what looked like raw meat. They didn't even ask questions anymore. They knew something was wrong, but this was Kansas. How do you even find a Thai shaman here? It wasn't easy, but after desperate calls to Thai temples in neighboring states, they finally found one willing to come. He arrived 2 days later, an older man in simple robes carrying only a small bag. The moment he stepped into the house, His face darkened. "There is something here," he said in heavily accented English. He didn't waste any time. Cecilia was in her room, rocking back and forth, whispering to herself. When the shaman entered, she froze, her head snapped toward him, and her voice low and guttural spat out words no one understood. The shaman began chanting. Pulling a small flask of holy water from his bag, he splashed it toward Cecilia, and she screamed, thrashing as if the water burned her skin. The lights flickered wildly, the air grew cold, and the house seemed to groan under the pressure of something unseen. "Hold her!" the shaman shouted. Her family hesitated. Cecilia wasn't just screaming. She was fighting, stronger than she should have been. But they managed to pin her down just enough for the shaman to keep chanting and pouring holy water over her head. Cecilia let out an ear-piercing shriek, her body convulsing violently. Then silence. She collapsed, breathing heavily, her body soaked and trembling. The shaman stepped back, his face calm but serious. He tied a simple white thread around her wrist, muttering a final prayer. This will protect her. She must wear it always. "It's gone," he said. "But here's the thing. Was it really? Or did it just move on to someone else?"
So what do you think? Was Cecilia truly possessed by a peepob? Or is there another explanation? And if spirits like this exist, how many of them are out there right now, waiting for their next host? Subscribe to Fog Tales, where we uncover the eerie, the exotic, and the unexplained. Until next time, sleep with one eye open.